All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. Time to continue in another video on the channel. We've been doing Tuesdays and Wednesdays for over a year and a half now, and it's been a wonderful decision because it's really helped the channel to grow. And today we'll be doing something different. We'll be finding the Wisdom of the Ages by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, 60 Days to Enlightenment. I felt it nice to go back to this. Internationally best-selling author Wayne W. Dyer has crafted a powerful collection of writings, poems, and sayings by some of the greatest thinkers, some of the greatest minds of all of time, ladies and gentlemen, some of the greatest thinkers of the past 25 centuries, 2,500 years. In succinct original essays, Dr. Dyer explains the meaning and the context in his own extrapolations, as I do myself here all the time while I'm reading on this channel, but in his own way, the context of each piece of wisdom, and most important, how we can actively apply these teachings to our modern lives. Ladies and gentlemen, a beautiful and thoughtful gift. This book features wisdom from 60 ancestral masters, including Walt Whitman, Shakespeare, Buddha, Jesus, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Michelangelo, and where we will be going today, the one and the only Leonardo da Vinci, ladies and gentlemen. And today's lesson from Leonardo da Vinci is entitled Balance. Balance. And this is a little bit of poetry, or literature, if you may call it that Leonardo da Vinci left with us. He was an Italian painter, sculptor, an architect, a musician, an engineer, a mathematician, a scientist, a mystic, a philosopher, and much, much more, ladies and gentlemen. Leonardo da Vinci was one of the greatest intellects in the history of mankind. And this could be its own, study and conspiracy. You could say, oh, wow, was he really a human? Or, was there some kind of higher influence, maybe spiritually or metaphysically, or maybe he found certain meditations and medicines or practices and styles that he used to achieve his amazing amount of achievement. However, ladies and gentlemen, today we go to a little piece of poetry from Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1519, and it goes like this. Every now and then, go away. Have a little relaxation. For when you come back to your work, your judgment will be surer. Since to remain constantly at work will cause you to lose power of judgment. Go some distance away, because the work appears smaller, and more of it can be taken in at a glance, and the lack of harmony and proportion is more readily seen. When we can, and that ends the advice or the little bit of poetry or literature to us today from Leonardo da Vinci, talking and teaching us about the importance of balance and being able to, like I always talk about on this channel, because of the inspiration from Wayne Dyer many, many years ago, is this psychology of striving rather than arriving. And if we're always pushing and strive, we're always working and constantly, trying to put in the most, we will not actually be as effective as we could be if we were able to, every now and then, as the words of Leonardo da Vinci tells us, go away and have a little relaxation. For when you come back to your work, to your whatever it is you're striving and pushing for, your judgment will be a little surer, since to remain constantly in a state of striving rather than arriving and being here in the moment rather than pushing for some future thing, if we constantly are striving, then we will lose our power. He says power of judgment, but this can be interpreted in your own context, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, we're reading through this for purposes of teaching and commentaries so that we can expand the mind, so that hopefully through this increased awareness and understanding of the nature of ourselves and great wisdom of the ages, through that awareness, we can increase the quality of our lives and hopefully the lives of those around us. Because remember, and I say this to my loved ones even, to try to remind them and myself that life is made up of moments. Do you want to spend your moments being frustrated, being stressed out, being angry, being worried, anxious? Now, a lot of these we have to work on through personal practices, such as seeking to find peace in life rather than, anyways, we don't want to fill our moments up with negative qualities, rather positive qualities. And so through an effort and a diligence and a practice, and then over time, an ability, we can increase the quality of our moments in our lives. So let us go now to what Wayne Dyer has to teach us about what Da Vinci said there about balance and how we can attempt to apply this into our lives, ladies and gentlemen. He begins by saying, quote, "When a man such as Leonardo da Vinci gives advice, I, for one, am willing to listen with fixed attention. And we all should be. He has been called by many historians the man with the most inquiring mind of all time. Now that's quite a compliment. His accomplishments were prodigious. Prestigious? Huh. He is often credited with being the initiator of the Renaissance, the Renaissance. But we know, as we have learned in our series in the Hermetics and the Hermetica, that this lost wisdom that comes to us from these ancient times is also, or is, the responsibility for every version of a Renaissance that we have throughout. That's a different subject. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I continue now. He's been credited being the initiator of the Renaissance, which moved man out of the Dark Ages. Once again, I'm like, he might have had a big influence, however, the lost wisdom of the pharaohs is what brought us out of the Dark Ages. But that's a different story again. Leonardo saw mystery everywhere and delved deep to understand it. He studied the earth, the sky, and the heavens. He recorded the movement of the stars and drew up plans for flying machines 400 years before the first airplane. So whenever they say that the Wright brothers were the first to fly, like, who came up with that? Little kitten saying hi there, but I'm like, who said the first to fly? I'm like, there were zeppelins and flying machines for hundreds of years before these dudes were the first to fly. So it's weird how they describe history to us. However, once again, different subject. If you've been here before, you understand how my mind works and how we end up in random tangents in different directions. However, he was an architect and a consummate artist who plunged into the study of nature and human personality. His portraits of faces were more skillful than had ever been seen before or since, Wayne Dyer says, embodying a reality that captured the essence. And that's a subject that comes up often on this channel and lately, is this essence, the true spiritual nature, the underlying nature underneath the physical nature, the source, the essence. However, he was able to capture every essence of his subjects. Volumes of books have been written on the magnificence of just his painting, The Last Supper, which also, as we all know, has its own theories, ladies and gentlemen. No subject escaped Leonardo's injury, and in this inquiry, escaped his inquiry, and in this piece of advice quoted just a few minutes ago, he offers us a tool for our own creative outlets as well. And I would say metaphorically, beyond creative outlets into just life generally in many areas. If you take these lessons as metaphors and apply them to different areas of life, it's really applicable in more places than you would expect it to be. Wayne Dyer continues, quote, "When you consider the sheer amount of creative work, I would say work in general, that Leonardo da Vinci amassed in his lifetime, you might conjure up a picture of someone who is just a workaholic, who's going crazy all the time, never stopping, never quitting, staying up 20 out, working 70, 80 hours and less than a week. And you know what I mean? Like this crazy type A kind of person who never did anything but paint, sculpt, and invent in every waking moment of his life. But as we can see from this little bit of poetry here, I'll read it again real quick. He said, every now and then go away, have a little relaxation. For when you come back to your work, your judgment will be sure, since to remain constantly at work will cause you to lose power and power of judgment. He says, go some distance away because the work appears smaller and more of it can be taken in at a glance. That metaphor, I think, is really important for life. Like, even if we just step away from a situation and give it some time, we will regain this personal power and we will be able to see more of it. And a lack of harmony and proportion is more readily seen, as the words of Da Vinci finishes up there. And so this person who we could think of as working every moment of their life is giving us this advice of stepping back and taking it easy. And I was honestly thinking of skipping today's video, but I flipped this open and seen this, and I was like, somebody will need this today or tomorrow or 3 years from now. They'll find this Wisdom of the Ages video about the advice on balance by Leonardo da Vinci and Wayne Dyer when someone needs some more balance in their life. But so this person who seems like a workaholic, and it seems like they were working every waking moment of their life, yet his advice is quite to the contrary, Wayne Dyer continues. He says, it is my conclusion as well. The original Renaissance man, as we can call him, the original Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci, is advising us to escape from the daily routine and go some distance away to become more efficient and productive. And I think even more peaceful, and to be able to create more harmony in your life. That's why I love that line about stepping back and you can see where things are out of balance and harmony, and you can take in more of the picture. But the key word here is balance. It seems to me that the highly productive people, not just Da Vinci, but all highly, great entrepreneurs of modern times or artists of old times, whatever it be, inventors, that these highly productive people have a great sense of balance and harmony in their lives. Now, this would be hopeful. Not saying all these very productive people are like this. Some of them are crazy type A people. But a lot of these do actually have more than we would expect a sense of balance and harmony in their lives. They're thoroughly familiar, Wayne Dyer continues, with pacing and knowing when to retreat and clear their heads of the immediate concerns. The key word once again here is balance. To avoid being consumed by anything, you must be able to walk away from it. It reminds me of a saying, I believe Wayne Dyer said one time, that your possessions possess you. You do not possess them. As much as you are attached to them, I was like, oh, this is mine, they are possessing you. in the same way that our concerns or our worries, anxiety, fear, stress, anger, whatever it be, to avoid being consumed by these things, we must be willing to simply walk away from them. Now, I'm not saying it's as easy as it is. I'm not saying it's as easy done as it is said. However, we must be willing. This is the key. So many of us defend why we cannot let go of our fear, our anger, our stress, our anxieties, and we do not put concerted effort into creating new ways of thinking for ourselves and new perspectives. I mean, we've got our perspective. If that's all we got, and that determines how we experience life, this is just me rambling again. But if all we have is our perspective, so this is either terrible, or this is either scary or sad or angry or whatever, or this is an opportunity, or it's even not terrible, and we can see the beauty in things. I mean, like, we've got our perspective, and you find what you look for in the world. So if you're going and looking for the destructive and the terrible things, and you will find a plethora and a giant mountain of it. But if you go looking for the heroic and the more positive things, the love and the compassion and the empathy, that there also is a plethora and a giant mountain of. Plethora? Plethora? You know what I mean. A great amount. Whatever you look for, ladies and gentlemen. So, once again, I'll go back to what he was talking about there. Thoroughly familiar with pacing and knowing when to retreat and clear their heads of immediate concerns. The key word here is balance. To avoid being consumed by anything, you must be able to let it go, to walk away from it. Be willing. In the process of walking away, Dr. Wayne Dyer continues, he says, you begin to see, now in this analogy, we're talking about work, creative work, or family, or project, from a perspective that appears smaller, according to Leonardo da Vinci. Leaving a fixed point and then glancing back at it does indeed cause the point to appear smaller. From a distance, you can actually take in more of that point. In one swift glance, thus any weakness or flaws can be spotted in an instant. Even though Leonardo may be speaking as an artist, his advice is applicable today, irrespective of what your life work might be. And I've found, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, that Leonardo's advice to be applicable to me in my work of writing and speaking, as well as in all other projects. And I'll say, I find it applicable as well in all areas of life. Even if it's just something you're thinking about, sometimes to take a break, detach yourself from your thoughts and say that, I can control and choose new thoughts. Sorry, I keep going back to that. When I leave my research and the yellow legal pads that I write on to go, the yellow legal pads, ladies and gentlemen, sitting right here. When he leaves his research and his yellow legal pads that he writes on to go for a long distance run, or simply go away for several days, almost magically, everything seems clearer on my return. I'm amazed by the insights I have received when I let go of my work, and they seem to pop into my head in the moments when I am least connected to or attached to the outcome. See, what you are seeking and desiring will come to you when you are no longer connected and attached to the outcome, which is very paradoxical. That's why we do all this research, because we love a good paradox, ladies and gentlemen. Love a good paradox. It's like the things that you are chasing after will keep running away from you until you stop. And you let go and stop chasing, and then all of a sudden it comes as chasing after you, and you're like, wow, how is this possible? Like when I finally stopped trying to get more and more, like how can I make the most money possible, this and that. And then when you detach from that outcome and you actually go into your passion, it's something that is fulfilling and provide value, that you find that, wow, this money that I was chasing is actually arriving now that I'm not focusing on that, rather focusing on what it is that I'm actually doing. I don't know. That's a different subject too. Again, sorry I go all over the place. Hopefully, and I know you are, hopefully you're getting value. And if you are, consider subscribing, smash the like, share this with somebody who is like-minded. It helps support the work that we do here, because I know there's at least 10 people that need to hear this advice. And if we could get it to them somehow, that's why I'm doing this. Because I feel like there are people that need to hear this and take this seriously and actually think about it a lot, because it could change their entire life for the rest of their life, because they can begin to experience and live their moments from a new perspective, a new awareness. And then, I don't know, we'll just have happier people, I guess. Maybe that's the only real goal, is we just want people to enjoy their dang lives. I'm so sick of all the suffering. But remember, as the great Buddha taught us, that suffering comes from desire. So if we can remove desire, then we can remove suffering. And you can see that my desire to remove suffering also may cause a personal suffering in a feedback loop pattern. That's why we love a good paradox, ladies and gentlemen. How do we solve it? I don't really know. I think there are things that we are supposed to suffer from to learn and grow as souls or spirits or consciousness, whatever you want to call that. But I think through this grander, more spiritual, whatever, this greater perspective, this mystical, spiritual, philosophical perspective, that there is a way that we can get ourselves to a perspective, a personal place in the way that we experience and take life in, that we can go through the things that we are supposed to suffer from without actually suffering that much at all and still getting the lessons. And so maybe that's what I'm trying to teach people. I don't know. Once again, this is just about balance, ladies and gentlemen. So if I've gotten off the subject of balance, then thank you for being here. Now let us continue. He goes, I am amazed by the insights I receive when I let go. The great Renaissance master, Leonardo da Vinci, is telling us to let go, to relax, to don't try so hard, ladies and gentlemen. Remove the struggle and allow our natural divine guidance to assist us. He says, quote, have a little relaxation, for when you come back to your work, your judgment will be surer. One way to do this in today's world is to learn to meditate, contemplate, take time with your thoughts, and like detach, like witness, become the witness of your thoughts. And be like, wow, interesting. On to the next one. Sorry. I'm back to what Wayne Dyer is saying. Learn to meditate, ladies and gentlemen, seriously. Like, if you have not started meditating, and I mean, don't take it all like, oh, what is meditate? I don't know how to do it. Like, don't worry about that. Literally just sit for a moment. You don't even have to close your eyes. You can just kind of sit for a moment and think, and it's fine. And then you get better over time, and then you can learn more things about meditation. But don't take it too seriously that you don't ever even try. Learn to meditate before you undertake any serious pursuit. So a moment of contemplation before you begin. Be it a plan for conducting a business meeting, going on a job interview, giving a lecture, giving a painting or a portrait, or this very act of allowing yourself, ladies and gentlemen, to go into a meditative state will not only improve your efficiency enormously, but it will do much, much more. In the past 10 years, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, I've never gone before an audience without first spending a minimum of an hour, usually more, he says, alone, kind of in the green room or whatever it's called, in a state of meditation. When I emerge from my relaxing meditation, I find that I can walk on stage or pick up my pen with a sense of confidence that I am connected to a higher part of myself that knows no fear. I mean, that's a huge different subject, that creating harmony and connection with that higher part of yourself that is beyond, the ego, the persona, the mask, the part of us that has the fear and the judgment and the unsureness and the connects to just that awareness. That is the awareness, the I am. I continue with what Dr. Wayne Dyer says. When we come out of this meditation, he says, he feels that he can do these these things, whether it's on stage, giving a lecture, writing for a new book, or whatever it is, giving it. He knows that he is connected to this higher part of himself that doesn't know fear. He says, I become an observer of myself doing the work. And everything seems to flow as it is if the hand of God is guiding my tongue or the pen, the words, the way my mind is going with this. This is why I love doing these videos also, because I have no clue where I'm going to go. And the inspiration, the awareness, my consciousness, God, whatever we are doing, we are being done. Remember, you're not doing anything, we're being done. But it feels like we're doing it, which is another paradox. But I mean, I don't know, what kind of rambles I'm going to come up with. I just let it flow. And oftentimes when I rewatch these in the premiere with you in the chats, always wonderful to join you and see you in the chat room in the premieres. But I'm sometimes like, wow, where the heck did I come up with that ramble sentence or whatever? I'm like, it's just fascinating. You can't really, it's all just out of our control, maybe. Is it Atum, the universe, grand organized design, God, that is really guiding every bit of everything? That's why we're here. In the process of getting some distance between yourself, going back to balance again, sorry I get off topic so much. It's all connected, ladies and gentlemen. In the process of getting some distance between yourself and your work, Wayne Dyer continues, relaxing into that space, you are inviting divine intervention into your activity. The less stress you place on yourself to accomplish or complete a task, ironically, paradoxically, you seem to gain the power to do just that. And that's what I've had to do for this channel. I used to really overthink it, and it was scary. And then I wouldn't be able to comfortably produce a good video that is relatable, that someone can actually be like, oh yeah, he's being real about these, not just trying to read a script. It's funny. It's funny, really, because it's the opposite of what you would think. Now, I'm not saying don't plan for anything, but ironically, you seem to gain the power to do the things that you were so stressed about. But when you put less stress on yourself to accomplish or complete these things, ironically, it's easier to do them. When you are detached from the outcome, you are in the process. See, this is a key to manifesting. We haven't brought up keys to manifesting a lot lately, but it's also one of my favorite subjects. But one of those keys is this part right here. When you are detached from the outcome, you are in the process. And when you are in the process, and you are allowing the outcome to take care of itself, it happens. And then you're like, whoa, this is why the Course in Miracles, I think it was, which I haven't read, but I heard people talk about it, which would be a great one to do on this channel. Leave me a comment if you want to do a Course in Miracles. However, immediate, infinite patience is met with immediate results because you're no longer waiting. You're detached from the outcome and you're in the process. So you have infinite patience, immediate results. I love that because it's very true. It's like, whoa. Once again, this goes back to we have our perspective. Don't you just want to be happy? So when we are detached, we are in the process, and we can see this principle at work in activities of pleasure. Now, don't let your mind go the wrong direction there, because I knew it was already. But in activities of pleasure, things that you enjoy doing, we can see that this principle of allowing the outcome to take care of itself by being in the process actually works. When I was enjoying painting these landscape paintings so much, the finished product just kind of took care of itself. I was just having fun doing the whole thing. But then when you switch your perspective and you're trying to get a finished product that's a certain way, you no longer enjoy the process because you're so focused on the end goal, and then the end goal isn't what you actually were hoping for. And so when we can begin to do something that we enjoy, an activity of pleasure, we can see that this principle of allowing the outcome to take care of itself by being in the process is certainly true, and it works. For example, Wayne Dyer says, don't worry, we got just a little bit more, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll finish this up. This has been wonderful, though. I'm glad we're going back to the wisdom of the ages. 60 lessons. He says 60 days, but 60 lessons from wise masters on enlightenment. For example, on a dance floor, your objective is not to end up at a particular place on the floor. Now, this is a great philosophy, so if there's nothing you get from this video, get this. On a dance floor, when you're dancing, your objective is not to end up at a particular place on the floor. In dancing, the object is to enjoy the dance. And where you end up is left to the process of dancing. Similarly, at a concert, your purpose is not to get to the end of the music, right? I mean, really, think about this. Let this sink in. When you're dancing, I mean, you could argue and say, people, you have to be serious, choreographed, and you can't be off by one move. But I mean, really, when you're dancing, you're not like trying to, you are just, same way, when you're at a concert, your purpose is not to get to the end of the music, but to enjoy the music. Enjoy the moment of the concert, each moment. Getting to the end is of no concern when you are in the process. And so think now, I love when Wayne Dyer does this, think now of eating a banana. A serious but hilarious example. What is the purpose of eating a banana, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is a debatable question that could be argued by philosophers and mystics for 10,000 years. What is the purpose of eating a banana? Is it to get to the end? Is it the nutrition? Is it the flavor? Is it to give the peel to the monkeys? I'm not sure. They probably wouldn't be very happy with that. However, to get from one end to the other, or to enjoy each bite. Once again, you have your perspective. There is balance. This is true with virtually anything in reality, in our lives. Do we race strive, push to get from one end to the other? Or do we arrive and allow and enjoy each bite? When we relax, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, when we can relax, ladies and gentlemen, we can get naturally lost in the process, and magically, the end result appears for us. And I'll add, we enjoy our lives when we can relax and let go. Leonardo da Vinci encourages us to have balance in our lives regardless of our pursuits. And remember, this is somebody that amassed the most incredible amount of work in a lifetime. We might imagine this type of person as somebody who never did anything but paint and sculpt and invent and write, and you know what I mean? But his lesson is coming to us today and encouraging us, Leonardo da Vinci, to have balance in our lives, regardless of our pursuits. By all means, get involved in your activities, but try to enjoy them for what they are, rather than the final outcome. Moreover, be willing to walk away from an activity when you feel your judgment, this is a big, helpful key here, be willing to walk away from an activity when we feel our judgment is out of harmony or proportion. By doing so, we gain perspective, and paradoxically, we sharpen rather than lose our power, creative power in this example, but power in general. Now, ladies and gentlemen, which is why you should get this book for yourself to put it on your shelf, so not only you can follow along in the future if we do more of these, and continue the Wisdom of the Ages series. I mean, literally, we did this whole book already in a series on this channel called Wisdom of the Ages. However, it's been a long time, and it's time for us to go back and continuing discovering the greatest wisdom from the greatest minds, mystics, poets, philosophers, sages of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. But now, the reason you should get this for yourself is because at the end of every one of these little sweet 3-page chapters, Wayne Dyer gives us a way that we can try to put the advice of all these great masters, but today the advice of the original Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci, to work in our lives today. And he says this, how we can do it is practice. Number one, practice detaching from the outcome in your work and projects, and be in the moment, enjoying our activities for the sheer joy of the action, rather than how they will turn out. Number two, walk away from your work from time to time and do nothing. No time restraints, no deadlines, no alarm clocks. In fact, no clocks at all. I like that. Get rid of clocks. I've had too much time. Just let yourself be and notice how free you feel. This kind of distancing without restraints will bring you back to your work with new vigor and a much sharper judgment. Number three, do what I frequently do, Dr. Wayne Dyer says. If I feel stuck, he says, I simply turn the entire thing over to God, to the Tao, to universe, Atum, whatever that is for you. Let go and let God, as it's said sometimes. He says, I say, I don't know what to do at this point, and I feel stuck for answers, and I am asking you, universe, that which we are a part of, to guide me in resolving this problem, or whatever it is that you are working on. It may sound simplistic, he says, but it always seems to work somehow. The answers come and clarity is restored when I ask God to help me. And finally, number four, on how we can apply the wisdom on this great lesson of balance from Leonardo da Vinci and Dr. Wayne Dyer into our lives is remember that one of the greatest achievers of all time, in a myriad of endeavors, advises us to, and quote, these were his words, every now and then, go away and have a little relaxation. If there is anyone whose advice I would follow, it is the original Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci. And I would add Dr. Wayne Dyer as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a boom to the wisdom of the ages, and a boom to the wisdom of Leonardo da Vinci, and a great lesson on balance. How we can begin to use and apply and experience more happiness, more peace, more joy, more fulfillment, more success in our lives by letting go and being able to step away and have this arriving rather than striving. Because, ladies and gentlemen, remember, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through greater awareness and understanding of the nature of reality and ourselves and psychology and philosophy and spirituality and all those things, so that through that awareness, we can increase the quality of our lives. And remember to seek to discover the lost mysteries of our history and the lost wisdom of the ages. And also, ladies and gentlemen, remember that there is no way to happiness. And once again, are we just trying to get to the goal, or are we going to be here in the moment? Because happiness is the way. It is the activity that we bring to life. And when we can create the ability within ourselves to bring happiness to life, then all the things we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll finally be happy when I get this much, or I want to have that car, or this, that becomes irrelevant. Because then we are there. And hopefully the entire journey is wonderful. All right. I love and appreciate each and every one of you that spends time here with me and all the wonderful authors and poets, philosophers, mystics, and sages of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, expand the description if you'd like to check out my Etsy shop, and I think I got like 7 or 8 of my landscape paintings on there. Not a whole ton. I do have many more I could list, but kind of been pondering on that for half a year or so. I'm not sure what direction I want to go, so I'm stepping back. I'm not worried about trying to paint, and sell paintings, and how can I do it so good to where it works all the release and detach from the outcome and figure out more of the process. Because for now, doing these videos in the spiritual and mystical philosophy is far more important to me, I guess. I'm just inspired to be here. So once again, thank you so much. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Also a link to C60, used to be C60 Purple Power. I think it's C60 Power now, but nevertheless, Carbon 60, C60 Purple Power, Ken Schwartz. I'll have to have him on someday. I would love to do that and have him really talk to us about some amazing things, as well as the amazing abilities that the most powerful antioxidant known to man, Buckminster fullerene, or carbon 60, can do. So definitely check that out if you never have before. I've been needing to get some more for quite some time. I've been slacking on that, and man, it is something. I took it for 3 years straight, I think, and now it's been about 6 months. And so I need to get more C60 back into my life. Do the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. Give yourself the gift of health, and I'll leave it there. Until tomorrow or next week, or whenever we do the next video, usually Tuesday or Wednesdays. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be the change you want to see. Be the example you want to set. No, 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 no. Thank you.